So God gave me a vision, and the way God gave me this vision was kind of scary. So God speaks to me in different various ways, but this time, this one was a little scary because I actually felt it and I was actually awake. And right now I'm actually in the season of God telling me something very, very important and very, very impactful, and He's basically piecing it together through different people. It's literally like 4 different people have said the same thing, and I won't reveal it because I don't want to. I don't know, I just want to keep that to myself for now. And once it happens, it'll happen. I'll tell the whole story. But there is something that God is telling me, and there are people that I'm meeting at different places, whether it's at church gatherings, whatever it may be. There's people telling me something specific, but not specific in the same way. It's like God is really trying to piece everything together, and I really have to just find those pieces and put those pieces together. So this situation actually happened over the weekend. So it happened this past Saturday. So I am just coming off of a little sickness, a little, I guess, stomach or I don't know. I was just sick. I literally had fever. I had, weak bones. I was cold. I was literally going through it. But Saturday specifically, between 10 p.m. and 11, this is at night, I am just in the bed, and I'm not getting up because I am about to fall asleep, and had a fever. I literally had a fever. I had the AC off, even though the room was hot, because people were telling me it was so hot in there that it was baking in there. I felt cold and my bones were weak. But in between this time, I was by myself in the room, and it felt like a warp. It felt like a warp in my brain. It literally, what happened was my brain went to my old brain, my pre-Christian days. So before I was a Christian, I had suicidal thoughts, depression, anxiety, and I felt all that. And this is like a couple seconds. I literally, and I am awake. I am alive. I'm still breathing. I'm about to fall asleep, and boom, next thing you know, it's like a warp. I felt my old Christian, well, non-Christian brain. I felt my old non-Christian brain, and I literally felt it, and I was scared because literally if I felt everything that I felt before I was a Christian, which was the suicidal thoughts, anxiety, depression, all that. And I had a headache too, so it was a lot. But then I warped back out a couple seconds later, and I'm back in my Christian brain, and I clearly felt that God is with me, and I currently feel that God is with me, and I've always felt that God is with me. There's times where, I'm always, questioning the feeling of God, but I always feel God, and it's up here, and I always feel it. It's hard to explain, but I literally feel it. I feel God, because God cured me from all those things, and it was clear as day because it was literally a warp, non-Christian brain to Christian brain, and I felt the difference. I'm like, God has always been there. And I feel God, even when I say, I don't feel Him all the time, but I actually do feel Him all of the time. So it was a lesson for me because there's times where I'm like, well, I don't feel Him. And obviously, I have the faith. I still have the faith. I'm still like, okay, I don't feel Him, but that does not mean He is not real. And because, I was cured from suicidal thoughts, depression, anxiety, all that. And so I never had doubts in my faith. It was literally just, I don't feel God. There was times where I don't feel God. I would say that I don't feel God. I'm still reading my Bible, I'm still praying, and I'm still talking to God, but I don't feel God sometimes. But I actually do feel God. Because I literally, now I know. Like, I feel it now. Because I literally warped from my non-Christian brain to now where I believe in Jesus fully. So it was eye opener, and I feel like I would not have understood that unless that happened. Because it was literally a couple of seconds, and boom, I felt, but it was all right here. Literally, it was all right here in my brain, and it was kind of creepy, but in a good way. But it was scary. I'm not gonna lie. When my brain went back, I felt every single thing, every single pain that my brain had. Because before I was a Christian, I'll have all these massive headaches. I'm talking about massive, massive headaches where I would cry, and I did not know what it was, but it was very, very massive. I remember times where I was crying when I was in high school, um, especially like during like in the morning time. No, actually in the afternoon time, both. There was times where I would just cry, morning or afternoon, in high school when I was in school, and this is before I was a Christian. Literally, it was painful, and it was hard to to do things. Now I don't get those no more. I don't get those big headaches where it's like pounding headaches. I feel like a lot of times we say, "Hey, I don't feel God," but you literally do. Literally, if he cured your suicidal thoughts and depression and anxiety, then you do feel God. You actually do feel God, and those thoughts are just from the enemy because those thoughts are not from God. God doesn't want you to feel those thoughts, but God has already cured you. It was already finished on the cross. Literally, it was finished. So everything he said, it is done once you put your faith into Jesus. A lot of the times when we don't feel God is also on our part. As a lot of times we are not, either it's praying enough, or we're not repenting, or we're not reading the Word, because the Word is life, and the Word heals, teaches, and rebukes. There's so many things that the Bible does, that the Word does, and but the Bible is there. It's our companion, and we get to understand God and know God more and more through the Word. And we had to realize that we do have power. Our tongue does have power, and having faith, even just saying, I believe, I believe, I have full faith in Jesus. If your tongue is speaking doubtful things, then your heart will be filled with doubtful things. But if your heart is filled with faithful things, whereas like, yes, Jesus, I come in agreement that you have healed me. Okay, whatever you fill your heart with is what the tongue is going to speak, is what you're going to speak out. And whatever you intake with your eyes, your ears, that's what's going to go into your heart. That's it for this video. Make sure you guys subscribe, like, comment down below what you want me to talk about next. Also, if you want to support the channel, if you want to support me, be sure to cop yourself some merch. Yes, there is merch. It is District of Christ merch. So instead of District of Columbia, it is District of Christ. If you guys want to represent the DMV and you are a Christian, be sure to cop these shirts right here. I do have one, but it is currently dirty because I wore it already, so I'm not wearing it right now. But the link's in the bio, and yeah, be sure to support if you can.